The NBA is a brotherhood, but sometimes the brotherhood breaks.
Bryant is, oh my gosh, Bell just clothesline Bryant.
Talking total loss of control, no refs, no rules, just pure unadulterated chaos.
Dylan Brooks takes exception to it. Now those two have to be separated as we have a massive humanity in the middle of the floor tonight here at Toyota Center.
You see, these athletes are paid millions to stay cool under pressure. But tonight, the pressure cooked them. Imagine this. 1 minute you're playing for a ring. The next, you're facing assault charges, but it gets worse. Way worse.
Sabonis is down.
Let me say this. Draymond stepped on him, but Sabonis.
Take Rudy Gobert. Usually he's the defensive anchor. But when Christian Braun went for his neck, Gobert didn't call for a foul. He went for the jugular, literally. The Stifle Tower turned into a street fighter in seconds, but he wasn't alone. Look at Amen Thompson. He got tangled up with Tyler Herro. Standard basketball play, right? Wrong. Thompson didn't just push him, he put him through the floor. The benches cleared, the arena went silent. The game of basketball, it was over. The fight was just beginning. Frustration is a hell of a drug. When the stakes are high, the fuse gets short. You think a technical foul stops these guys? Think again. We've seen players launch missiles into the crowd. We've seen teammates turn into enemies. And we've seen superstars destroy their own legacies over a single moment of rage. Today, we're going deep. Beyond the highlights, we're looking at the snacks that ended dynasties, the pills that ruined careers, and the card game that turned a first-round pick into a convicted murderer. Buckle up, because these players didn't just lose the game, they lost their minds. Every story needs a villain. In the NBA, some players don't just play the role, they embrace it. Take Draymond Green, the heart of the Warriors dynasty? Sure, but also a man with a very specific problem. His feet and hands seem to have a mind of their own. You've seen the highlights. The kick to Steven Adams, the punch to his own teammate Jordan Poole. But the 2023 playoffs against the Kings? That was different. Domantas Sabonis is on the floor. He grabs Draymond's leg. In that split second, most players would trip, maybe yell at the ref. Not Draymond. He used Sabonis' chest as a literal stepping stone.
Sabonis is down.
Let me say this.
A full weight stomp. The arena gasped. Draymond's excuse? I'm not the most flexible person. I had to land somewhere. You see, that's the enforcer's logic. It's not an attack, it's physics. But the league didn't buy it, neither did the fans. But if Draymond is the thinker, Bobby Portis is the instigator. People call him BP, but they also call him crazy eyes. Look at them. Those eyes aren't looking at a scoreboard. They're looking through your soul. Imagine being on the other side of that stare. When Giannis got caught in a chokehold against the Bulls, Portis didn't hesitate. He didn't run to the ref. He ran to the heat. Portis is the guy who once broke a teammate's jaw in practice. Why? Because in his world, you're either with him or you're a target.
Yeah, double tech.
And that's a smart double tech. That's the officials basically taking control of the game. Listen, man.
No middle ground, no mercy. But sometimes the villain meets a hero who just doesn't care. Enter the 2006 playoffs, Lakers versus Suns. Raja Bell was the self-appointed Kobe stopper. He was tired of Kobe's elbows, tired of the trash talk, tired of the Mamba mentality. So Raja decided to end it. He didn't just foul Kobe, he delivered a full-blown wrestling clothesline. Kobe hit the floor hard, but imagine this, Kobe didn't fight back. He didn't even look surprised. He just got up, brushes his shoulders off, and kept scoring. You see, that's the ultimate disrespect to an enforcer. Raja Bell lost his cool. He got ejected. He lost his money to fines. And Kobe, he just smiled. Because when you lose control, you lose the game. But as we're about to see, some players lose a lot more than just a playoff match. Sometimes they lose their entire reputation over a snack.
Bryant is, oh my gosh, Bell just clothesline Bryant.
In the NBA, talent is king, but in Miami, Pat Riley is the godfather, and the godfather has rules. Heat culture isn't just a marketing slogan, it's a lifestyle. Body fat percentages are measured weekly. Hustle is non-negotiable, and as LeBron James found out, even your snacks aren't safe. Imagine this, you're the best player on the planet. You've just won back-to-back titles. You're on the team plane, ready to relax after a road win. LeBron had a routine, 2 chocolate chip cookies and a bowl of vanilla ice cream. Every flight, it was his vice, his ritual. But one night in 2014, he sits down, looks at the flight attendant, and asks for the usual. The answer: We aren't allowed to serve those anymore. Riley had banned them. No more sugar, no more junk. You see, to Riley, it was about discipline. To LeBron, it was about control. Dwyane Wade later said that was the moment he knew LeBron was gone. It wasn't just about the cookies. It was the fact that even a 4-time MVP couldn't choose his own dessert. When the micromanagement hits the dinner plate, the superstar hits the exit. Fast forward 10 years, different superstar, same problem. Jimmy Butler was the face of the Heat. He dragged them to 2 finals when no one believed they could. But by 2024, the marriage was falling apart. Butler wanted a max extension. Riley wanted availability. Riley even told him publicly to shut his mouth if he wasn't on the court. Imagine telling Jimmy Butler to stay quiet. That's like pouring gasoline on a forest fire. But it gets weirder. Butler started missing team flights. He was suspended for conduct detrimental to the team. Reports came out that he was miserable because his kids were in California while he was stuck in South Beach. He wasn't just losing games, he was losing his joy. So Jimmy played chess. He skipped shoot-arounds. He showed up to practice just to walk out. The Heat suspended him for 7 games, hoping he'd fall in line. Instead, he forced their hand. One massive trade later, and Jimmy is a Golden State Warrior. He traded the culture for the Bay. But it shows you something. In the NBA, a team can buy your time, but they can't always buy your compliance. You see, when the front office tries to pull the strings too tight, the stars don't just snap, they leave. But while LeBron and Jimmy left for new cities, some players stayed and turned the court into a literal war zone. Next, we're going back to the rivalries that didn't just end in trades, they ended in blood. You see, today's NBA rivalries are fought on Twitter. But in the 90s, they were fought in the paint, and nobody did it better or dirtier than the bad boy Pistons. They didn't just want to beat you, they wanted to break you. Take April 19th, 1990. The Pistons are facing the 76ers. Rick Mahorn, a former Piston, is now playing for Philly. Isaiah Thomas, the leader of the Bad Boys, should have been his brother. Instead, he was his executioner. Mahorn gets the ball. Isaiah is right there. Suddenly, Isaiah loses it. He throws 2 wild punches straight at Mahorn's head. But imagine this. Mahorn doesn't even flinch. He just looks at Isaiah like he's a fly buzzing around his ear. But it gets worse. Later in the game, Mahorn dunks the ball. Bill Laimbeer, the league's ultimate villain, shoves the ball into Mahorn's face. That was the spark. Charles Barkley comes flying in. Punches start landing. Benches clear. When the dust settled, the NBA handed out over $162,000 in fines. In 1990, that was a fortune. That wasn't just a game. It was a $162,000 message. If you leave the Brotherhood, you're an enemy for life.
Mark, he's admitted he doesn't like Bill too much, and he showed it there. The big question, which of these guys will face a possible suspension?
Oh, look at this. Rick Fox elbowing Doug Christie. Christie gets up, and look what happens. Oh, Fox pushes Christie, and Christie punches him in the face.
But think that died out with the 90s. Think again. The Lakers-Kings rivalry of the early 2000s was the closest thing we've had to a civil war. October 2002, preseason. You'd think a preseason game would be a friendly warm-up, but Rick Fox and Doug Christie didn't do friendly. The game had barely started when Christie caught Fox with an elbow. Fox responded with a slap to the face. Then, Christie delivered the most famous uppercut in NBA history, right to Fox's jaw. Both players were ejected, but here's the crazy part. Most players go to the locker room to cool down. Rick Fox, he went to the locker room to hunt. He literally sprinted through the Staples Center hallways, intercepted Christie in the tunnel, and started round 2. Imagine this. Security is panicking. Shaquille O'Neal is running through the back halls in a clown suit trying to break it up. Doug Christie's wife, Jackie, is reportedly swinging her purse at Rick Fox. It was absolute madness. You see, when a rivalry is this deep, the court can't contain it. The rules don't matter, and the tunnel becomes a battlefield. It just goes to show you, in the NBA, the game ends at the buzzer, but the beef, that follows you into the locker room. And sometimes the stress of that beef leads players to make choices that aren't just violent, they're bizarre. Next, we're looking at the players who didn't just lose control on the court, they lost it at 30,000 feet.
Obviously, the heated feelings carrying over from the postseason a year ago. We need to see another look.
You see, the NBA lifestyle looks like a dream from the outside, Private jets, 5-star hotels, unlimited money, but behind the curtain, the pressure is suffocating, and sometimes that pressure makes you look for an escape. Take Dion Waiters. In 2019, Waiters was struggling to find his place with the Miami Heat. He was frustrated, he was benched. On a team flight from Phoenix to LA, he decided he needed to take the edge off. A teammate who remains nameless to this day offered him a magic gummy bear. Standard edible, right? Wrong. Imagine this, you're at 30,000 feet. You can't leave. Suddenly the world starts spinning. Waiters didn't just get high, he had a full-blown, terrifying panic attack mid-flight. By the time the plane touched down, he was seizing on the floor. Emergency medical staff had to rush the runway. The Heat didn't show him any sympathy. They suspended him for 10 games. He lost out on a $1.2 million bonus. Imagine that, $1 million gone because of a single gummy bear. Waiters became a meme, but the reality was much darker. He was a man losing control of his career in real time. But while Dion Waiters lost a bonus, Willie Cauley-Stein almost lost his life. Willie was the number 6 pick, a 7-footer with all the talent in the world. But in 2019, his world crumbled. He was at home when he got the call. 3 of his closest friends had been shot. 1 didn't make it. How do you go to practice the next day after that? How do you focus on a jump shot when your brothers are in the ground? You don't. You look for a way to numb the pain. Willie turned to pills, Percocet at first. Then it became a handful before every practice, a handful before every game. But it gets worse. The pills he was buying on the street weren't Percocet. They were laced with fentanyl. You see, Willie was playing at the highest level of basketball while walking through a graveyard. He eventually hit rock bottom and checked into rehab. He escaped death, but his NBA career, that was the casualty. And then there's Charles Barkley, the round mound of rebound. In 1997, Barkley was in Houston, trying to win that elusive ring, but his temper was still 100 degrees. He's at a bar with Clyde Drexler when a group of guys starts throwing ice at their table. Barkley told them to stop. They didn't. One guy threw a drink on him. Imagine the mistake that guy made. Barkley didn't call security. He picked the man up and launched him straight through a plate glass window. When the police arrived, Barkley didn't deny it. He famously told the judge, "I'm just asking people not to throw drinks on me." He paid $75,000 to settle the case. You see, whether it's pills, gummies, or a bar fight, the downward spiral is always one bad decision away. But what happens when that loss of control isn't directed at a teammate or a heckler in a bar? What happens when a player turns that rage on the fans in the front row? Next, we're looking at what happens when the fourth wall of the NBA finally breaks. In the NBA, there is an invisible wall. The court is the stage. The stands are the audience. Fans pay thousands of dollars to scream, heckle, and cheer, and players are paid millions to ignore them. But what happens when the wall crumbles? What happens when the performer decides he's had enough? Take Pat Beverly, 2024 playoffs. The Milwaukee Bucks are being eliminated by the Pacers. The season is dying. The frustration is boiling. A fan in the front row is running his mouth, getting under Beverly's skin. You see, Pat Bev isn't known for his zen attitude. He didn't walk away. He grabbed a basketball and fired it, full speed, into the stands. Imagine this. He didn't just hit the heckler. He hit a woman in the head who wasn't even involved. And then, when he got the ball back, he threw it again. It was a complete meltdown on national television. The league handed down a 4-game suspension, but the message was clear. Even the pros have a breaking point, and when they reach it, nobody in the first 5 rows is safe. But sometimes the anger is justified.
And fans saying some words here to the bench.
Imagine being Chris Paul. You're a legend, a future Hall of Famer. You're in the middle of a playoff battle in Dallas. Suddenly you look over and see your mother and your wife being harassed by a fan. Reports say the fan actually put his hands on Paul's mother. You see, that's where the game ends. Chris Paul didn't throw a punch, but he was ready to. He was caught on camera shouting, "I'll see you later." He later tweeted, "They can say whatever they want to us, but don't touch our families." It's a reminder that beneath the jersey, these are sons and fathers. When the fans forget that, the court becomes a very dangerous place. But it's not just the hecklers. Look at Dylan Brooks. He's the guy everyone loves to hate. In a game against the Heat, he went for a loose ball and ended up out of bounds. Instead of getting up, he shoved a cameraman to the floor, just because. The cameraman was just doing his job. Brooks was just frustrated. He was fined $35,000 for that moment of heat. Or look at Kevin Durant. Durant is usually the silent assassin, but even he launched a ball into the stands after a foul call he didn't like. He admitted he was lucky he didn't get ejected. You see, the fourth wall is thinner than we think. One bad call, one personal insult, one moment of blind rage, and the game of basketball turns into a public assault. But while a fine or a suspension is bad, the next story is in a different league entirely. We're moving past the heckling and the shoving. We're going to the darkest corner of NBA history. The story of a man who didn't just lose control of a game, he lost his soul.
Durant is fouled by McConnell, and Durant just chucked the ball into the stands. It's a technical.
You see, most of the stories we've told today end with a fine, maybe a suspension, maybe a trade to another city, but Javaris Crittenton's story? It ends in a 23-year prison sentence. In 2007, Javaris was the golden boy, a first-round pick for the Los Angeles Lakers. He was 19 years old, playing alongside Kobe Bryant with a $2 million contract guaranteed. He was living the dream, but off the court, Javaris wanted a different kind of respect. Imagine this, you're an NBA star, but you're spending your nights in LA clubs with the Mansfield Crips. He didn't just want to be a player, he wanted to be a gangster. Then came the moment that changed NBA history forever. 2009, the Washington Wizards team playing a high-stakes card game. Javaris and superstar Gilbert Arenas get into a heated argument over an $1,100 pot. Think about that. Two millionaires threatening each other over what, to them, was pocket change. Arenas told him, "I'll bring you the guns. I want to see you shoot me." 2 days later, Arenas walked into the locker room and laid 4 guns on Javaris' chair. Javaris didn't back down. He pulled out his own gun, loaded it, pointed it. You see, the invisible wall didn't just break, it shattered. Both were suspended. Javaris' NBA career was effectively over at age 22. But it gets worse. With no basketball to ground him, Javaris fell deeper into the streets of Atlanta. In 2011, he was robbed of his jewelry at gunpoint. He wanted revenge. He wanted blood. Imagine this. He rents a black Chevy Tahoe. He tracks down the man he thinks robbed him. He sees his target walking down the street. Javaris opens fire, but he's not a hitman. He's a basketball player with a clouded mind. He missed his target. Instead, he hit Julian Jones, a 22-year-old mother of 4 just walking home. She died on the spot. Javaris tried to flee. He was arrested at the airport trying to run from a reality he couldn't outpace. In 2014, he stood in a courtroom and took a plea deal, 23 years in prison. You see, when we talk about losing control in the NBA, we usually mean a technical foul or a shove. But for Javaris Crittenton, losing control meant losing everything: his career, his freedom, and a mother's life. The NBA is a game of inches, a game of split-second decisions. On the court, a bad choice costs you a bucket. Off the court, it costs you your life. So next time you see a player lose his cool over a call, remember that the fire they play with doesn't always stay on the court. Sometimes it burns the whole house down. You see, we come for the highlights, we stay for the dunks, the buzzer beaters, and the trophies. But the stories we've walked through today, they remind us that these athletes aren't video game characters. They are human, and humans are volatile. Imagine the pressure of having millions of dollars and millions of eyes on you every single night. For some, that pressure is a fuel. For others, it's a slow-burning fuse. From a simple dispute over a chocolate chip cookie to a life-altering tragedy in the streets of Atlanta, the line between competitive greatness and total self-destruction is thinner than a free throw line. Most players find their way back. They pay the fine. They serve the suspension. They apologize to the fans. But as we saw with Javaris Crittenton, some lines once crossed can never be uncrossed. Control isn't just a skill on the court, it's a survival tactic off of it. So the next time you see a player lose his cool after a whistle, don't just look at the scoreboard. Look at the man, because the game ends at 48 minutes, but the consequences, those can last a lifetime. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of the league, do us a favor, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It helps us keep telling the stories that the mainstream media likes to sweep under the rug. And tell us in the comments, who is the most out of control player in NBA history? I'll be down there responding to the best takes. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.